Welcome to Bisham Abbey. This is the venue for the 50th anniversary of English Karate. At this venue at Bisham Abbey in Marlow Bucks, 300 people will gather from all over the world, in fact, to celebrate the 50th year of karate in this country. The three-day event will call on the talents and abilities of masters from China, Japan and Okinawa. And we are so fortunate to have with us Morio Higuana, the master 9th Dan of Goju Ryu, Gushi Sensei, the master of Uechi 9th Dan, and three Chinese masters, Master Pan and his son, and Master Chen, all who have come together non-politically to enjoy themselves and teach to students and instructors of traditional martial arts. This is a one chance, and in my 50 years in martial arts, it's the first time that I've ever been able to put three masters doing the same thing on the mat at the same time. We will see a demonstration on Saturday evening by Master Higuana, Gushi and the three Chinese masters of the same basic form, Sanchin. And for people that are interested in the origins of martial arts, I think they will find it exceptionally interesting. During this Budosai, we have brought together other great masters like Alan Ruddock, original student of Morihei Ueshiba, the founder of Aikido. We've also brought together Manuel da Costa, who was with me in Japan for many years and is probably the most senior in the world as a foreigner in practicing of Iaido. We can only hope that all our guests enjoy this weekend as much as we will teaching it. Thank you.
So welcome to the 50th anniversary of English Karate Budosai Martial Arts Festival, as promoted and sponsored by Cyber Budo. And first up we have an English demonstration of Goju-Ryu Karate with Senseis Ernie Molyneux and George Andrews. And it's my pleasure to have with me Nakamura Sensei. And Sensei, first off, we have our English representatives here.
Yes. We have very strong team in England, strong organization in IOGKF and Goju Ryu. And these senseis are very high-ranked instructors.
And initially, is this breathing exercises here?
That's correct. This kata called Tensho kata. We have two fundamental kata in Goju Ryu system. They're altogether 12, but those two katas are very important. One called Sanchin and other one called Tensho. And Sanchin usually represents go, which means hard. Tensho represents Ju, which means soft. As you see, the hand movement is very soft and smooth. And all the movements must be harmonized with the breathing exercise.
And that's what we're hearing very clearly there, the breathing.
Exactly. And when you breathe inhale from your nose, going down under the belly button, the place we call tanden, which we say all the energy is coming from. So you breathe into tanden and breathe out from tanden.
Thank you very much, Nakamura Sensei. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, my name's Brian Hammond. I'm very pleased to be here at the 50th anniversary of the founding of karate in Great Britain. I wish I could say I was here for the 50th year, but in fact my involvement of karate is only 49 years. I started in 1958 with my martial arts training under Vernon Bell and started karate and judo both at the same time. And I've seen it grown from a class of possibly 8 or 9 students to what we have today, which is thousands and thousands of dedicated karateka, which I'm quite pleased to see. My highlights, in fact, was I believe in 1974 at the European Championships. France and Germany, I think, were the two top teams, and they were in the final. and suddenly I heard my name being called out to be the main referee, which gave me a bit of a scare. But fortunately, I was hyped up enough to be able to do the job properly. So that again is my favourite. I didn't always referee at finals because fortunately Great Britain was always in the finals, so I couldn't very well referee my own team. Another highlight was in 1975 in Los Angeles when Great Britain beat Japan to win the World Championships. That was something that really was unheard of, and well, I'm still on a high now 30 years later.
So now, Sensei, we have a number of equipment items here that all look very traditional.
Yeah, that's correct. Goju originally came from China, and most of these exercises came from China, and we kept as it was. And one you see on the back, the wood stick with stone, the concrete, that we call Chishi. You have a lot of rotation motion and make your wrist, shoulder, your arm stronger. And there's iron ring over there. That's what actually the founder of our style created this exercise. So with this iron is really, it's about your human being side. And we have a lot of different exercise, twisting motions, conditioning training, and lift up like a weight training.
So this would be very good resistance training then?
Exactly, yes.
And what about with the boards here, Sensei? Is this pure conditioning of the
That's
elbows
correct,
and forearms?
yes. This we call Makiwara training, focus part, like you can say focus part training. As Goju-ryu as a self-defense or fighting technique, we have to really hit object to make your knuckle stronger, your elbow stronger, and your leg stronger. So conditioning training is a very important part of our Goju-ryu style.
And we have the lady in the centre with what looks like what would be old-fashioned wine jars.
Yes, that's right. We call that nigiri game, which is a gripping jar. And they are actually originally this jar we use lots of jars from Okinawan traditional wine, and this makes your grip very strong. And as you get stronger, you put sand and water to make it heavier.
And now he was commentating with me. He's up himself, Nakamura Sensei. And joining me as Sensei Nakamura comes up is Ernie Molyneux, who you saw earlier with those demonstrations. Thank you for coming, Sensei. And what is Sensei Nakamura doing here for us?
This is a close-in sparring drill called kakie. Okay, it's used for close-in fighting techniques, and many of the techniques are taken from the kata of Goju-ryu.
He was very fast there.
Yes, yes. This uses a sensitivity training. So rather than looking with the eyes, you feel your opponent's power and then seize the opportunity to take him down.
Now this is in direct contrast to what we saw from you guys earlier, which was training for the strength and the conditioning, and then you've got the other side here with that sensitivity.
That more or less exemplifies the name of our style, which is Goju-ryu. Go meaning hard, which is what you saw. We practice the Hojo Undo, and this is the Ju aspect.
And again, it might shock some people who don't really know about karate when they think of it just as an upright art. Here you are with some superb locks and holds.
Many of the kata we practice, lots of hidden techniques inside. They have takedowns, locks, chokes. So we have to practice these techniques to perform them with efficiency.
And again, Sensei, there's a wonderful fluidity about it.
Yes. This again, this also exemplifies the way we say it's Goju-ryu. So it's a really smooth action, and you feel your opponent's power, if you like, and seize the opportunity.
And when they do that, are they looking for that moment with that sensitivity, for that perceptual change?
Just that point, as your opponent pushes, you feel as he pushes, and just at that moment, you quickly grab and try to attack. Also, if you watch, they'll do what they call gyaku waza. This means to return your opponent's attack. So he attacks, then you block and counter attack in that move there. This is called renzoku. It means to continue, to go on.
And how often would you drill this? Within a lesson or within a week?
Well, at least every single week you practice. Also Sanchin, you practice Sanchin every week. If you train in Japan or Okinawa, they do it every day. This type of training also is good for people who are a lot older. So obviously youngsters, they want to just fight and trade techniques. This is also excellent for people who are maybe over 50s. It doesn't have to be quite as severe, obviously.
But it does show when we talk about the functionality of arts, there's a true function here as well.
Oh yes, yes, a lot of the techniques are very, very useful for self-defense.
And that was what you were on about earlier, where one flows into another, the counter-attack.
That's called Gyakuwaza or Renzoku.
And again, an excellent demonstration, and thank you for talking us through that, Sensei. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Bryn Williams, and I was General Secretary of the British Karate Control Commission about 40 years ago, and I've been involved with karate roughly for 50 years, and I'm very pleased to be here this evening to see a demonstration of karate 50 years on. I think my most powerful recollection of our success, the British success that is, in karate over the years was when the British team won the 1975, long time ago, World Championships, but also won the European Championships in Tehran at the time, and additionally came second to France in the European Junior Championships. So that was almost a clean sweep of everything. The number of major organizations that we had in the late 1960s and 70s were eight substantial organizations with substantial numbers. But now it's fragmented a lot more, and there are almost literally, as I understand it, almost hundreds of organizations which are more effectively like large clubs than organizations, with the consequence that it's very difficult to produce an overall British team as we did in those early years. I'm extremely pleased that Terry invited me to this weekend to view this 50th sort of anniversary of karate in the UK, because well, in the first place, I've met a lot of old friends, including Brian Hammond here, and many others. And it's nice to meet those people and to recall the successes we've had in the past, and hopefully to wish that we get similar types of successes in the future.
Now, Sensei, one of the great things about this festival this weekend is the legendary figures, and we don't get more legendary than Iguana Sensei here.
No. I've trained with Sensei for many years now, for about 35 years. I try to get to his dojo in Okinawa at least twice a year and train with him on a personal level. He is actually an inspiration to all of us.
And one of those figures that transcends styles, doesn't he? His name is known throughout Karate-Do, full stop.
It's synonymous with Goju-Ryu, or with Okinawa Goju-Ryu.
And as we can see, he's a very short man, but he's known, isn't he, for his power.
Yes. The Okinawans, generally Sensei has like a typical Okinawan build. They're very short, squat, so like this type of style suits them, like a close-in fighting.
And the incredible thing is, apart from us here on the commentary table, you can hear a pin drop.
Yes. The level he's practicing, it actually introduces go and ju techniques in the kata.
there's a subtle movement of the hip there as well,
Yeah.
Sensei.
That's the tightening of the tendon. So Sensei's tensing the point of power. This is what we do when we do Sanshin. So at that moment of impact, just here now, he tenses his tendon. Then he'll strike.
Does that also help with the defence as well, the tension there?
Yes, because also it gives you, for the example, if it's like an Ayuchi where you strike at the same time as your opponent, as long as your body is tight, you've also got an armour on.
And again, when you mention that body form, it's wonderful when he goes into these low stances.
He's got the perfect shape. He's been practicing karate for about 57 years now. If you also look at the developments on Sensei's hands, he practices conditioning every single day.
Yes, they're almost, in many ways, too big for his stature, aren't
That's
they?
right, yeah.
They're like big hams.
If he catches hold of your arm, you can almost feel, you think he could take the flesh off your arm.
We saw that in your earlier demonstration, the gripping training as well.
That's
That's
right.
right. And you can hear the applause there for Higurani Sensei. Thank you, Sensei, for commentating with me. It was a pleasure to watch Higurani Sensei here at this 50th anniversary.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
So next up, Oishiru with the Gushi Sensei, and my pleasure to have Terry Donahue with me. And Terry, it's great here today, some of the masters for this 50th anniversary.
I think we're very lucky to have someone of Sensei Gushi's standard with us today. Nokoto is one of Sensei Gushi's students. He's been training for about 20 years with him.
And is this to show us the strength in that upper body when he tenses now?
What you're seeing here is Sanshin Kata, which is common to most of the styles we'll see today. This is the Weichi version. It's one of the 3 original kata, and this kata specifically tries to develop strength in the body and resilience to fairly punishing blows, as we're about to see.
I was just about to say
Yeah.
that it looks like we are going to see these punishing blows. And with this conditioning, how many times would that be done during the week to get to the level that we're going to see here?
Sanshin conditioning is done at every training session, so if you train every day, you do Sanshin every day. Maybe it's at different levels, it may not always be quite so intense, particularly for a beginner, obviously. You wouldn't see this breaking, this is just for demonstration purposes, but the body is tested every time you train. Gradually, the participant, the student, develops, as you can see, a fairly high level of resistance to what would be fairly devastating on anyone else.
And this is on the understanding that at times when you're both at a very similar level, as you strike, you might get struck back.
I think there's an acceptance that no matter how good you are, something's going to get through. Bearing in mind, of course, this is not a sport, karate.
Would it be fair to say that Weichiru is not one of the most known of the karates in this country?
I think it's although it's been in this country for about 30, 40 years, it's only very small, it's never grown large. However, in America, where it's been in existence since the 1950s, there are probably about 2,000 clubs.
Well, he's decided to show us a different way of breaking this, and has brought gasps from the audience there, Terry.
Well, that was a bad piece of wood. There was a knot in the wood.
You could hear that.
Yeah.
And you can hear the response to that as well, and you can see the marking on his shoulder, but superbly conditioned young man, Makoto. So here we go. It's been set up. You can hear a pin drop as the audience wait. And again, seems to emphasise our point, Terry, about the wood.
I think it's always difficult on these very soft floor mats as well, of course. You watch the bottom piece of wood bounce.
Yes.
Yeah. Ah, yes, look at the knots.
I can't imagine it doing it a third time. My forearm after the first two.
I think it says something about the level of conditioning to have a go twice and then a third go when it hasn't broken.
I was thinking that because I was wondering about my own forearms after that first two, because there was just no give in that wood whatsoever. And here he goes again.
It's bouncing out of the notch on the floor.
And you can see how upset he is. But I think we're with a very knowledgeable audience here, Terry, so they know.
This is the shin.
The most unprotected bone in your body, the shin.
Think how it feels if you bang your shin on the bed.
Well, I'm pleased for him after that with the forearm, but my goodness, look at that wood. And as we said, Terry, the most unprotected bone. You know when you just knock your shin or those that used to play football as well as do their karate, when they got a kick and you see the footballers rolling around on the floor.
Absolutely.
And he's just gone through that wood. And you can still see the frustration on his face. He really wanted to do that other piece of wood as well.
There was no way that last piece of wood was going to stay intact.
Hello, my name's Alan Francis, and going back to 1969, I became the chairman of the British Karate Control Commission. There had been a major murder trial at the Old Bailey, at which the judge has recommended that the Home Office look into whether karate should be banned or controlled. And I came along soon after because I had judo experience, and that's why they tolerated me, because I wasn't with any of the karate associations, and helped as much as I possibly could to the formation of control and development. For example, some counties, to pick one, Durham, refused to have any karate in their area, and so I went to Durham, spoke to the Education Committee and got karate admitted. That was just one small effect of a Central Control Commission. We had Sports Council backing, and our development, particularly with the national team, was of course of paramount importance. And we had some wonderful experiences with the team at World Championships, and as you may know, it culminated in 1975 when we went to Long Beach, California, and were based in the old ship Queen Mary, which was a great pleasure. And we won the World Championship there, beating Japan for the second time in the final of the World Championships. 38 nations competed. So we had a wonderful time pioneering and developing karate, and I have very happy and warm memories of that era.
All right, so a distinct change now after two karate styles. We have Yongchun White Crane Fist with Master Pan Senior, Master Pan Junior and Master Chen. And with me for this demonstration, I'm pleased to have Martin Watson. Martin, a change of tack from the traditional Chinese to the traditional Chinese and the White Crane Fist.
Right, what you've got here is two slightly different schools of White Crane, but coming from the same village. The dance is are called Taolins, and the name of this dance that he's dancing is the iron ox enters the stone. You can see lots of similarities with the Gojo and the Yueqi in terms of the stomach motion going up and down.
Yes, and the tension.
And the tension and release. For us, tension and release is a very big thing, and the change between tension and release as well.
Now, would it be common to have variations within a village like that?
Yeah, the association in Yongchun was formed in the 1930s when a whole group of slightly different lineages came together, and they contributed each something distinct to what goes on within the Wushuguan. Wushuguan means gymnasium in Chinese. Now we have Master Chan, who actually comes from, he's from Yongchun, but the village where he studies is about 2 miles outside Yongchun. And the form that he's doing is called White Crane Spreads Its Wings. So superficially, differences in what he's doing with his hand techniques, but with the stance and the power generation out of the central trunk, that's what's pretty distinctive in that region.
But also it's nice to note that as much as the arts are different, there are similarities between Japanese and Chinese.
That's right. Well, of course, many people believe there's a heavy influence on the Japanese arts through the Chinese systems. And this particular region of China, Fujian, is in the south, almost directly opposite the Japanese coastline, so that's where the exchange started from. That move there, with the double elbow strike, is actually the White Crane Spreads Its Wings move, from which this form gets its name.
And I take it the movements, because they're very flowing, are simultaneous defence and attack.
Yes, either simultaneous defence attack, or maybe the movement application could be for defence or for attack. So one of the differences, again, between these systems and the karate systems is each of the movements have their own names. The name of this form is in Chinese is Shisan Taibao, and it means 13 treasures.
And what age is Master Pan, man? Because he looks in incredible shape.
I think he's 67, Master Pan.
That's phenomenal.
The reason this form is called 13 Treasures is because it's based on a 13-step sequence. And you find in these forms, you'll see in the Sanjian is the basic movements, but with the southern Chinese systems, the techniques might not be as varied in terms of spectacular as the northern techniques, but it's more about power generation and application. Indeed, we say this as southern hands and northern feet to distinguish between the two systems.
Right, we continue our wonderful demonstrations, and it's my pleasure to have with me Sensei Terry Wingrove. Terry, the demonstrations have been superb so far, and here we go again now with Shibamori Sensei and Thibaut.
Yes, Shibamori's been in Europe for about 37 years and is the linchpin of karate training in Hungary, Austria and Czech Republic. Particularly well known for his Wado style development on knife attacks. He does self-defense here, then he'll see the knife in a moment. Of course, his style is Wado Ryu, originated by Hironori Otsuka Sensei, and Otsuka Sensei had a background of being a wonderful master of jiu-jitsu before he took up karate. So the techniques are very, very much influenced by jiu-jitsu. And the finish, particularly you'll see with the knife attacks, leave little to be desired in every aspect.
And he's got that wonderful Japanese physique, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. He is a real classical Japanese martial arts teacher in the old school.
How important is that marvellous low centre of gravity with these moves?
I think it's to make it look good and to be good. I think you need to be there like that. We can try as best we can in the West to imitate it, but imitation is the best form of flattery, and I think that in this case you can see the big foreigners, we have a problem.
I mean, technically it's not a problem for us, isn't it? But when you look at stylistically, that's why the Japanese look so good.
Look so good. Their centre of gravity is so low, and the ability for them to counter-attack so fast. Now we're going to look at the knife attacks, which I think will prove very interesting. See how relaxed Shivabori is. This is classical Wadaryu, based on Otsuka Sensei's understanding of Jiu-Jitsu and Karate together. It is effective when it's applied by the other end of him. I've seen him do it, and I've been the other end of it, so I know exactly it does work.
And there's an economy of movement there.
Absolutely, minimal. He's 63 years old, and at that age, as I well know myself, conserve your energy to the best you can. Minimise the effort, maximise the result.
And I notice whenever a crowd is watching a demonstration, whenever you bring a weapon in, the anticipation goes up, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I don't know whether it's a basic instinct, the hoping he's going to get stabbed, but unfortunately today we did have a live blade for him, but it broke, and he couldn't bring the live blade on the plane. But I saw him do this 4 weeks ago in Valencia, and he did it with a live blade, and it was very, very impressive, very close. Tibor is his senior student for Hungary.
Yes, and as you mentioned, I mean, if you needed any more distinction in the dynamics between the Western and the Japanese, there's Tibor and his instructor.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mind you, when you look at him focused there, he looks a fearsome character.
Oh, he does. I've been the other end of him, so I know. He takes a great delight in the over 60s club, as we call it.
But picking up on that, how important is it that events like this today give us access to, as you said, that over 60s club with that wealth of knowledge, as we've had in every demonstration today?
Well, we're going to see the other interesting side of it, which is in a moment we'll see the next generation, or two generations below, developing it as it should, and hopefully looking at our generation of how they can be in a few years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei. Right, so our next demonstration takes a European flavour with Fulvio Lorenzetti and Imran. It's nice to see the full range here in these demonstrations.
Most certainly, with all the different styles from the different parts of Japan and originally from Okinawa. It's a great delight to see everybody together. I've never ever seen this before, and I don't think anybody's ever seen this done really. White Crane, Goju, Richie, all on the same mat.
This is what's incredible about these demonstrations. And what is Sensei Fulvio's core art?
He actually does Shotokan, in which he holds the rank of Sensei Kyoshi. But he's demonstrating here the kata Kiho, which is a Shorinryu Hanashiroha style kata.
Very short to the point, but very well received. Well, as we said, we can't stress enough how unique this is this evening on this 50th anniversary, as sponsored and promoted by Cyber Budo.
You see here the Grandmaster Pan performing. You notice the Chinese techniques are very linear in their movement and their feet. And what we'll notice, you'll see when he goes on it, you'll notice the curves when the feet turned in, and more tension in the body. Here you notice this tension, but he's more relaxed and fluid.
And now, Master Chen.
And again, this is one generation removed from Master Pan.
Just sure. That's his student. Again, if you notice the stance, the feet facing forward, relax, the knee very bent, the rear leg, both knees bent, quite low to the ground.
There seems more of the tension in Master Chan's.
It's coming along, yeah. More what's the old mentor, you tend to be very tense as a youngster, and as you get older. Now you're Harry Cook. I'm going to hand over now to Harry Cook.
International.
Right, I'm proud to now have sat beside me the internationally renowned master Harry Cook. And Harry, one of the rare times we'll see anything like this, surely.
Yes. From a historical point of view, this is terrific because what you've actually got is the White Crane is probably the root or the origin of much of Okinawan karate. Sanchin is the core or the heart of Okinawan karate, and Master Gushi now, Uechiru style, performing the kata now. Uechiru is composed of 3 elements: tiger, crane and dragon. And Sanchin, as you've just seen from the White Crane, has been adapted or modified to Okinawan needs. But you can see very similar elements. The stance is the obvious one. The body tension,
yes,
which is solid. You can see it. The breathing and the very fact the whole body is used as a unit. And you see he's doing open hands as a lot of the Chinese did. This may be an early, or possibly one of the earliest Okinawan versions, or very similar to an Okinawan version. The next guy up, my teacher, Maru Higona, his Sanchin will be closed fist. But in the Goju-Ryu line, the closed fist Sanchin is actually a more modern development, which comes from Chojo Miyagi. Miyagi was taught by Kanryo Higona. Kanryo Higona's Sanchin was open-handed, so very, very similar in many ways to Gushi Sensei's performance just now.
And I must stress that Gushi Sensei, when you look at his age and you look at that physique, it's quite phenomenal.
It's terrific, it's terrific. I trained with him in California about 2 years